Shut up and sit down. And sit down.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the 360 Sports Show. I am Andy Pizzelli. He is Christian Lauber, and we are breaking down the biggest stories from the past week in sports. You can reach us anytime in the comment sections on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So we are going to jump right on into it. We're going to talk some Celtics and Bucks. The Suns and the Mavericks, 2 Game 7s happened yesterday. We've got a little bit of football news. We had a Game 7 in the NHL and plenty of other NHL news. So if at any point you want to direct or redirect the conversation back to a certain point, comment section. Let's start, though, Christian, with Game 7 in Boston. Yesterday afternoon.
The hell was that?
Which Game 7 am I talking about? Which one are we going to go to first? Let's talk about the Celtics, and then we can take the conversation from there. The Celtics win Game 7 on their home court, something we thought they were capable of doing when we last were on the show. It was coming off of a Game 4 victory in Milwaukee, momentum. We thought the path was win at home, fight on the road, probably have to come back home, win Game 7. Instead, the Celtics went blow a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter and look like the team that we've all been scared of them reverting back into. And then you go get a gutsy win in Milwaukee. And then you come home and start terribly and then blow out the defending champs. Obviously without Chris Middleton, but still. Impressive. One of the more signature wins and impressive moments, and we're going to call this the Tatum-Brown era. Awesome stuff yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous end of Game 5, not what you want, obviously, right? But the maturity to, and I think this has to do with the coach. I don't know if he's getting enough credit. Sometimes you over credit guys. Excuse me. And this time I feel like he's a little bit undercredited because I think his mindset, his mentality all year long to kind of look at Tatum and Brown and say, it's time to be an alpha as opposed to like, oh, hey, Durant, I'm your buddy and like you're better than me. And so I think Ime has something to do with that. And I think he's been a big encourager of this type of thing, taking on a challenge and kind of punching through the wall. And that Game 5 was just an implosion beyond belief. Drew Holiday is someone that like can stink for 10 minutes and then all of a sudden take over a game and completely turn the tide of that game, along with Giannis. Obviously, we know Giannis. But to come back out in Game 6, and I said going into it, Tatum's going to have to kind of carry the load. He's going to have a game here where it's like Pierce, LeBron, and it really was kind of like a duel like that between him and Giannis, and he was fantastic in Game 6. Now, Marcus Smart took all the credit, right? It starts with him, and he was talking to the media a bunch, but it all comes down to Tatum. I mean, he was fantastic in Game 6. He was really good in Game 7. He just didn't need to be great because Grant Williams and Peyton Pritchard were helping out. And also, I feel like Tatum, you can tell how much he's grown in terms of passing the ball. He was not forcing anything last night. He had a couple open threes. He was 4 of 4 to start the game. And instead of trying to jack up 17 more, he's looking for the open guy when they're pressing him. So that's the most impressive thing to me. They're going to have a tougher test in Miami than Milwaukee, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as what's different, like hey, they're back in the conference finals. But this path, this is not, you beat like a depleted Bulls team and then you beat the Wizards who are undisciplined. You went through two of the best individual scorers in the NBA, Kyrie and Durant. You swept them. People thought, why did you set up to play the Nets? You don't want that. No. They said, we don't care who we're playing. We're coming after anybody. Sweep them out of the playoffs. And Tatum was the best player in that series, hands down.
Close series, too, which was more impressive. The fact that the games were close and they came out of that.
Then you get to Milwaukee, and it's this back-and-forth rock fight slugfest of a series. I mean...
Especially when you get blown out in Game 1.
When you get blown out in Game 1. And the mentality to fight through that adversity, but they're hanging their hat on the defensive end here, which is where it started, and they've been consistent on that end, which has allowed them to have some bad stretches offensively that then they can make up for. And you're dealing with Giannis in this series, a guy who, like, coming down the stretch here when the series was tight, it's like he's going to get 40. It's just going to happen. Don't let someone else go off, right? Don't let someone have the 2018 Game 7 Jeff Green game and hit like 7 threes on you, and that's how that team wins. That's how the Cavs beat you had a bad day offensively, and you let Jeff Green go nuts. Don't let anybody else do that in any game this series. And like you said, aside from Jrue Holiday's, 5-minute stretch there in Game 5, they really didn't. It looked for a minute like Brook Lopez yesterday when that game started, like, oh, God, is this going to be it? Is this going to be the Brook Lopez game? He's going to hit a bunch of shots, and we know Giannis is getting 40.
No, because you make Brook Lopez defend the perimeter. He's a different player.
Exactly, and then he gets taken out of the game. But they never let that happen, and that was the difference. The Celtics had guys they could go to. It didn't require Tatum. He didn't need to be the best player of the whole series. He needed to in Game 6. He needed to be the best player on the floor in Game 6 for them to win. But he just had to be really good. He had to be great, but not superstar, mind-boggling numbers, because he has Jaylen Brown. If Marcus Smart is the third guy, he's contributing. And then you're getting like 8 points, 2 steals, 5 rebounds, good defense from Derek White. Grant Williams is hitting a few threes. Pritchard gave them big... No, I'm talking about overall in the series. Game 7's a different story.
I gotcha.
He
was bricking everything.
The Celtics had so many more guys who could make shots or get shots.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bucks didn't. Nobody rose up to help Giannis enough in this series.
I think Holiday's a good player. I think he does it on both ends. But outside of those two, it was really Pat Connaughton for stretches. Outside of that, not really. I mean, they missed Middleton.
But never enough. Really he never, Connaughton never had like a 25-point game.
No, but that's what I mean.
Happened.
He's a role player. If you have Middleton, it's a different story. But the Celtics clearly had an edge there, which, again, Miami's not going to be that easy. They're going to have a lot more guys that can do this, similar to what the Celtics do.
But we all felt it. After that Game 5 loss, it was, here we go. Are they just going to be pointing fingers and throwing chairs in the locker room? Are they going to come out and get blown out in Game 6, and it's going to be another one of these, like, what could have been? Instead, that Game 6 win was just so impressive, especially the fourth quarter with what Tatum did offensively and defensively, what they did as a group, and that's the biggest thing. This team, more than any of the more recent Celtics teams, is just, that have had real talent. Like, hey, they played together when it was Gigi Datome and Isaiah Thomas and Amir Johnson, right, and Avery Brett. Like, they played together. They didn't have the talent. Since 2018, this Tatum Brown era, this is the most together, like, resolved, just poised.
Yeah, it's not even close.
I've seen them ever play. And that's what's so rewarding, is to see this team right now punching at and just raising the bar of their potential. Awesome stuff. We can get into Miami and the challenges that that's going to pose. But for now, what they had to do to go down 3-2 and win on the road and then get off to a bad start, and then end up winning Game 7 going away, I didn't see that coming. I mean, I did not think that they would be like, hey, let's get, all these bench guys in. Let's get Nick Stauskas in the game. I thought if Nick Stauskas was in the game, it was probably because we were getting blown out. We were getting blown out by 20. The Celtics were getting blown out by 20. Not the Celtics are blowing the defending champs. And Middleton or not, that team played with championship heart. So that's just another little notch. And the thing is, after that game, they were excited, but I didn't see this like they beat the Raptors in the bubble. And it felt like this massive weight, like we just knocked out the champion, but they didn't have Kawhi Leonard. Like it was not the champion. This should have been a bigger, like, let's celebrate, rah-rah, and they were kind of just like, business is done here.
Well, we haven't seen what they're doing tonight. Are they in Miami already?
Well, I don't know, but that's different. I'm talking about after the game, that like it would seem like they have their heads screwed on straight to understand that was a difficult series. Tip of the cap to Milwaukee. That was an accomplishment for us. But almost very little like, oh, we're satisfied. No, this team's not satisfied. And I think that's
especially
just
not when you look at back in the bubble when they faced this Heat team. The Heat are probably better now, but it's the same. It's a pretty similar team.
Yeah,
coach is the same. Don't you want a little bit of taste of revenge there?
It's the revenge tour in a way. I mean, you're looking at they went through Brooklyn. You got Kyrie and all that animosity. Milwaukee, who eliminated you in 2019 from the playoffs, in 5 games, the gentleman's sweep, kind of the end of that Kyrie period. That sent him packing for Brooklyn. They're the defending champs. That's a hurdle. And now you get to play the team that you honestly really kind of stunk it up against in the bubble and could have made a finals against. So, like you said, it is going to provide a myriad of different challenges. There is no Giannis on the Miami Heat, but that shooting that the Bucks didn't have, the Heat have. Just to go to the comment section here, Colin says, was definitely concerned for sure when we saw how easily the Celtics slipped back to old habits that made them a 500 team the first half of the season, but didn't think it would kill off their chances. They definitely proved that it was just a fluke these last 2 games. They found ways to beat a team They found ways to beat a team that had them shut down in the paint the majority of the series. Tatum proved his mental toughness and ability to bounce in Game 6, which we hadn't necessarily seen in the playoffs before when presented with adversity. Guys like Grant, Pritchard, and especially Horford stepped up big throughout the series. And that's the thing. That's what it takes to win championships. Your stars will get theirs. Who are going to be the other unsung heroes who rise up to the challenge? Not for a whole series, but in individual games. There's going to be somebody. Al Horford in Game 4. Tatum did it himself. I mean, Game 6 was ridiculous. Yesterday, it was Pritchard early minutes and productive minutes, and Grant hit his first couple, then missed a bunch, and then obviously got hot there for a stretch where they were able to blow open the game and played pretty dang good defense that entire series.
Talk about wide open. Grant Williams yesterday was wide the hell open all day long. And I think Milwaukee was kind of banking on him missing.
If we go down with Grant Williams hitting 8 threes, so be it.
Taking 18 in the game, I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
I saw that coming.
You want to win banner 18? You got to take 18 threes, baby.
Steph Curry. Basically.
So before we get to breaking down the Miami matchup, and if we have any other Celtics thoughts throughout the show, we'll circle back. And if you have any that you want to drop in the comment section, feel free to do so. Let's run through the other series quick. So how did the Miami Heat get there? Well, they took care of the Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games. Not surprising. Joel Embiid, misses the first 2, comes back. They even things up, and then the Heat kind of find another little extra gear and some lack of production for the Sixers from a certain James Harden.
Yeah, how's that Ben Simmons trade looking now for you, Phil?
What's funny is that Ben Simmons scored more in the last fourth quarter than he played for the Sixers. Than
yeah,
James
why is
Harden
Doc not getting? Why is Doc not getting Harden out of town then? I don't get it.
Who's gonna take him? Who?
I mean, it was kind of a joke. Obviously, nobody.
No team. That's That's a team that is
Harden, I think, is taking. There's a couple things that went into his play declining. Number one, the fouls this year are not as frequent as they have been in the past, and he can't do that dumb
leg
freaking
flop.
18-step step back anymore, and he can't kick his leg out, and he's not getting the calls as much, and he looks like a guy that's just cashed, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the officiating's a big part of it. I mean, he's the guy who literally has scored more of his points at the free throw line than making buckets. Now,
he also looks like he goes out and parties every night, which is probably true.
We know
Maybe true.
We know a Redditor did
he
the
likes
deep
to get
dive
after it.
on this a few years ago that his like field goal percentage and points per game precipitously decline in cities that have high-rated strip clubs.
Talk about stats. You want to talk about the nerds in baseball? That's top notch.
That's NBA like Twitter and Reddit for you. Somebody did the deep dive on that one. Somebody made a joke about that, like, oh, he's probably just going to strip clubs. Well, let's find out. Let's see if there's merit to this trend. Somebody spent an inordinate amount of time. I don't even think our resident basketball stat nerd Murphy, I don't think he would even go. That's too much work, I think, even for him to dig into all of that.
No, he likes the dumb crap, like that James Harden stuff is kind of interesting. He likes the boring stuff. He's like, how many I can't even give any example because it's so convoluted. I'm not even gonna try.
Yes, but his like net rating per 10 minutes versus so and so, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think the Sixers are they're gonna have a lot of problems trying to figure out, which is unfortunate because Joel Embiid should have been MVP, got robbed of that, and honestly now he's been healthy enough to like actually be out there and play and produce and do what we know he's capable of doing. And I just think now they're in a weird position to not be able to put a good enough team around him because you're going to be saddled with James Harden, and I don't know how you're going to fit anything else around that. So clearly Embiid's not happy. I mean, you heard his comments after that series. Nothing he said was wrong, but to hear somebody really lambaste a teammate.
I think he misses Jimmy Butler. He was
probably.
He basically said, I don't know why we got rid of him. For all these other dummies like guys who can't play. Harden, Tobias Harris, go down the list,
Yeah. So the Heat got there by dispatching the Sixers. So the Sixers off gone fishing. On the flip side, in the West, the Golden State Warriors able to take care of business. I felt like they were kind of just playing with their food with the Grizzlies, who didn't have Ja Morant. Put up a valiant effort, but like Game 5, the Warriors basically just kind of like screwed around for 3 quarters and then or 3.5 quarters, and they were like, okay, time to turn it on. Whee!
Even with Ja, I don't think they were winning that series.
I don't think so either. I mean, because then like Dylan Brooks in his minutes like played really, really well. It's like numbers wise, aren't you kind of getting the same thing?
The Warriors have been there, done that. They're not
exactly, and they just have so much firepower. They don't have a lot of size, so that's what's going to be interesting to see. Now the Mavericks won't present that much size either. But it'll be interesting to see, depending on who the Warriors, if they get to a finals. The Celtics, I think, might be the biggest team left, and that's saying something because they're not insanely big, but they've got Horford, and if Time Lord is
on the floor,
if Time Lord is healthy, Boban, yeah. Hey, maybe that's a series where Boban actually gets minutes because it's like, we love Draymond Green, but like he is a foot shorter than this dude. Like
you took the bait there. I just laid it out there and you took it.
Hey, but for real, that guy's like one of the most efficient shooters ever. Little 4-foot little hook shots. Hook shot him to death.
Nerf basketball.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so the Warriors, not much analysis needed there. They just take care of business. Good for the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies have something cooking though. If Ja comes back healthy next year, they add a few pieces. They need another
player, though.
They need another piece, but that team, just the maturity of what they've went through to get to where they got to, I think is going to be huge. It feels like a team that was like a year or two ahead of where they should be.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of remind me of like a better version of the old Celtics, the bridge years with Isaiah Thomas and Olynyk and those guys. They play hard all the time. They're going to compete. They could take a game off you at any point in the regular season. Come playoff time, though, you kind of meet your match. So I think they're a star away, but I mean, Morant is worth the price of admission. That's for sure.
Yeah. So the Warriors were waiting yesterday to see who would win between the team that had the best record in the league, wire to wire, this year, a team that made it to the finals last year, and the Dallas Mavericks, a.k.a. Luka and stuff. And
Spencer Dinwiddie, he's pretty good.
Coming off the bench, though, which is a good piece to have coming off the bench.
Swap him and Luka. You got something going there.
I flipped on that score later on last night, and at first I thought, I know it's late. Am I mathing wrong? Are they up 46 points?
Well, at halftime, Luka had as many points as the Suns did.
What?
So yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen the Celtics pulling away to win by 20-something was very impressive. What the Mavs did last night is impressive, but I think, like, it becomes easy to take shots and make shots when you're up 40, right? All the threes that they made and all the guys who were making shots. Like, worry-free basketball, basically, at that point, most of that game. Is that concerning? I mean, I have no idea how to describe what happened for the Suns. Now, I said right along, I was worried about their reliance on Chris Paul bailing them out time after time. The dude's 37. He's going to wear down. And he really wasn't that great in this series. But, like, where's Devin Booker to rise up and take it to another level? Mikal Bridges has looked like he could be a star at times. Ayton, like, where some of these guys had to, like, say, you know, the whole meme, right, of the Ninja Turtles walking with, you know, Master Splitter, and he's walking them, and then it's like 5 years later, now they're all grown and he's old. And that should have been Chris Paul. Chris Paul should have been able to ride the coattails of Booker and Ayton and Bridges, and that whole team is just loaded with talent. And yet they relied on him to be like the best player too often, which I don't know if that's just we talk about the Celtics players having like deference for other players in the league and not having a killer mentality. Is that like deference on the team? Like, Booker's not ready to be the alpha yet? Like, because then the whole team no-showed. I mean, that was just deplorable what happened to the Suns. I'm sorry. Unacceptable and just sad if you're an NBA fan, because that was non-competitive.
Yeah, you want to hear the plus-minus for the Phoenix Suns starting five?
This is going to be good.
Crowder, minus 37. Bridges, minus 40. Ayton, minus 23. Paul, minus 39. Booker, minus 41. And those guys all played 25 and above minutes. They shot 14 of 47. That's not great. I will say that. That is not great. That's not good enough in a game 7. I mean, they basically didn't show up. That's basically
not at all.
Booker was 3 of 14 and a minus, what did I say, 41? Yeah. That's not nearly 11. No, I'm sorry. 4 turnovers, but still. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Are you... Is there like a big C long-term concern with the Suns over that? Like, losing's one thing. You lose like that, is that indicative of something deeper and maybe more wrong, flawed under the surface with the team?
It's possible. I mean, Booker's still young-ish, right? He's 25. That's usually when guys start to kind of come of age. You see that with, you know, the two stars here. You saw it with Thompson and Curry, and so it might be a little worrying, especially with he's up for a supermax, I think. Ayton's kind of restricted.
He's a restricted free agent.
Paul is aging, and who knows what that situation holds. So they're in an interesting spot where they're going to have to make a decision on a couple of guys, and that could really change their future. That's for sure.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, they are like one of the more like likable team. Like, coming into the bubble, they went 8-0, and it was like, what this great story. Like, put them in the playoffs. They should be in the playoffs. Yeah. They follow that up with really jettisoning themselves into the next echelon of the NBA, making a finals, blow a 2-0 lead. And as Colin puts in the comment section, the Chris Paul curse. It is obviously there are so many factors in a team sport to hang the successes of the franchise or the failures of a franchise on one singular player because it is a team. It is bizarre for a guy that's as good as Paul and has been so good for so long to have the NBA record for most 2-0 series leads blown. That's crazy.
That's indicative. I mean, that's indicative of what he has been. I mean, that's just factual.
It is.
I don't know what else you can say at this point.
And it's sad because that's going to be the dude's legacy, which is just crazy for a guy that's that good to have that happen. And like, I can't even say that like it's all his fault because you just ran down the list of really good NBA players who also totally didn't show up.
He's also had good teams in LA, Houston. Like, I don't know, wherever he goes, he seems to just get the bad end of the stick, I guess. But there is something to say that he's always on that team. I mean, that's just it is what it is.
Yeah,
him and Doc Rivers.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, well, Doc again. Doc hurt himself, right? Let's play Joel Embiid up 20-something with 3 minutes to go. Crack. Elbow to the face. Your best player's going to miss 2 games in a conference semifinal. Yikes. So, unfortunate. And who knows, like you said, with all the guys that are due up, who knows where the Suns go from here. So, let's talk about this next round matchup. Celtics and the Miami Heat. What is going to be the biggest challenge for the Celtics in this series, Christian?
Well, I think just right off the bat, I think they're better defensively, especially at the 3-point line than Milwaukee was. So that's going to be tough. I think the Heat are number 2, I think, at defending the 3-point line. Boston might be number 1, but regardless, I think they're a little bit smaller, maybe in overall size, but they can match with you, especially with Bam in the middle there. And they have guys that can score in bunches, and a whole lot of them, 1 through 7. I think all those guys have potential, 1 through 8, maybe, to give you 20 or more. So it's going to come down to role players, I think. And they have a lot more of those guys than Milwaukee did, so it's going to be tough. The one thing I think Milwaukee and Jaylen Brown mentioned this, I think they did they gave you some indication on how the rest of the playoffs are going to go is because of their physicality. Milwaukee's a very physical team. They're up in your airspace at all times. So maybe that helps here in this series. I just think the Heat can do a better job of it, and it's going to be about getting Tatum, I believe, off the ball in some way. I don't know if the Heat do a box and one or what, but they in the bubble year, Tatum couldn't get anything going. Now a lot of time has passed, but he's going to need to get free here and kind of fight through some stuff. I still think the Celtics get into a habit of complaining about the officials and they get in their own heads a bunch of for a bunch spurts of minutes, basically. So they got to get out of that here going forward. I just think Miami is overall probably 1 or 1A in the conference, just in terms of their size, their ability to shoot, and then their defense. I think all 3 of those things, much like the Celtics, are very good. They're very good in all 3 areas.
Yeah, Jeff Van Gundy said this on the broadcast, I think during Game 6 of the Celtics series. He said, whichever team comes out of the East, Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, those are 3 hard-playing, hard-nosed, defensively minded teams that are mentally tough, and they will certainly have been hardened through the path for whoever they face in the finals. And that's definitely the case. And as far as the matchup with Miami, I think it's good in a way. There is no Giannis. You don't have to just commit so much of your mind and resources, like in terms of energy, towards how do we stop and slow down this one guy who is just an absolute force of nature. That is gone. I think that's going to help the Celtics offensively by not having to just take the sheer punishment defensively to stop someone like that.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side is, like you said, Miami has got more scores, more shooting. What wasn't there in Milwaukee, you got to be closed out on everybody now. Because we talked about revenge tours. You don't think Max Strus would love to just drop 7 threes a night on the Celtics? Could have had that guy. Instead, you chose Tremont Waters and Carson Edwards and Taco Fall instead of keeping Max Strus around, who would be quite useful right now for this Celtics team. So that's going to be a challenge. Before it was, hey, play Giannis really hard, just don't let anybody else, we'll live with whatever they do. This is going to be a very balanced, concerted effort defensively. Luckily, there's no individual mismatch anywhere on the floor. I will say I think the Celtics need Time Lord to be healthy and give them minutes, because Al can't play 40-something minutes a night. He can't. He won't last. And he won't have the gas. You need somebody who's going to be able to athletically run with like Bam and challenge him. Al's up for it for a few games to max out. I don't think Al could do that every single game for 7 games.
I think this is more of a. I think this series fits Tice more. Not that he's going to carry in the series. Don't get me wrong, but who can give you a few minutes. Whereas in the other series, it's Giannis just bowling over everybody, and he'll get pulled out to the 3-point line, whatever. In this series, you're kind of following Bam, but you're kind of in and out. You're playing both in the paint and the outside. He can do a couple of those things. He's not great on the boards. I worry about the rebounding in this series just because of how stout Miami is, and they're also big. They can kind of match with you in terms of size. So it's going to be a tough rebounding, but it's really going to come down to, I want to say, 3-point shooting, which is not a hot take. I mean, that's just the NBA now, but 3-point shooting from role players more specifically, like they're going to have to get something from Grant, Pritchard, especially on the road. I mean, you look at Grant's numbers on the road; they're not very good. So they gotta flip something there, because you got Game 7. If you get there in Miami, that's gonna be a tough place to play.
Yeah. Now Game 1, no Kyle Lowry, who has been a just giant pain in the backsides of the Celtics his entire career. So that's a benefit to the Celtics, and I think in a way, starting on the road for Game 1, I think is a huge benefit for the Celtics. I think you play Game 7 at home, emotional game, and then you just roll back in at home for Game 1. That just screams letdown all over it. Whereas going right out back on the road, kind of this underdog mentality, get them out of ball. Like I think that could help. Because at the end of the day, if they were to lose 2 in Miami, you're coming back to Boston. Whereas if you start at home and you have that bit of a hangover and you drop 1 in Boston, now you're behind the 8 ball like you were against Milwaukee. So I think it helps starting on the road. And we'll see. You talked about boxing 1 and all these other things. Miami is going to throw the book at the Celtics in terms of defensive looks.
Coaching staff is good over there.
And say, you know what? You guys couldn't figure this out 2 years ago. Let's see if you've learned anything. So it's about, we haven't mentioned his name yet, Derek White. Everybody who's got the ball, this is very simple. The threes, how many threes they take is just going to be part of the game, but they got to be good threes.
Derek White is like the new Marcus Smart. Every time he gets out, don't shoot it, Derek, don't shoot.
But he's got to get into the paint. Like, anybody, if they go zone, it's so simple. Get the ball to the middle of the floor. Either take the 10-footer,
gets stuffed,
or kick it out. Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think this is going to be a series for him, though, to take that little 8-foot floater. Like, if they go zone, that's
more. It's definitely more Derek White's game than Brook Lopez. Running into Brook Lopez did not work, but now you have Bam there. Bam is a good shot blocker, but I think a high release can get over the top of Bam more than Brook Lopez. Lopez is he doesn't really jump, but he's like 9 feet tall. So
yeah.
I think Derek White should be more suited in this series to get to the paint. It's just a matter of if he can do anything when he gets there.
Yeah. So I don't want to see, as we said, 3-point shooting is a factor. I don't want to see the Celtics just fall in love with taking these, let's pass it back and forth along the perimeter and then jack up a three. Move the defense, manipulate the zone. Maybe
They have to figure out a way to get Tatum involved.
Exactly.
I mean, Tatum is going to be a key guy, obviously, as we know. The star players need to show up. Him and Brown, the two of them, have to be huge in this series because, I mean, they played Tatum and Brown both tough 2 years ago now. Now it's a different Celtics team. I think they can fight through more than they would before. They've matured a bit.
Yeah.
But Miami is not going to be an easy series. I hear a lot of people saying this is Milwaukee was just as tough, if not tougher, and this is going to be the Celtics in 7, Celtics in 6. I just don't. I think people are taking them too lightly.
Yeah. Mentally and physically, it's going to be easier on defense because you don't have to defend a Giannis. But it's going to be fair. They have a lot more skill. They do. And that's going to could be a track meet of a series. As long as the Celtics don't fall prey to what the Heat are going to try to do to them defensively. So luckily, we'll get to see this. Game 1 is tomorrow. Game 2 is Thursday. Game 3 is Saturday. And then Game 4 is Monday. So we'll be taking to the air with 3 games already done in this series by the time we come next week. Christian, if you were to predict it right now and call it, obviously we'll get to see a few games before we reassess as it's within our rights to do. What is your prediction for this series?
You're going to be shocked. The Heat in 5. No, I'm just kidding. But the Heat in 7.
I'm going to say Celtics in 6. I think that they're just ready.
The curse is on.
All the signs are
again.
That they are ready. I see that the look LeBron had in his eye in 2012, where he was just this angry force, and he was just playing totally PO'd the entire playoffs. After they went down 3-2 to Boston, I kind of see that in Tatum. There's just this grit that if your best player is playing with that grit, it just stems down to the rest of the team. So I think they're going to steal game 1, and then because no Lowry, and I think being on the road will actually be a benefit to this team. I think they steal game 1, and then from there it's just about holding court at home. Win games 3 and 4, win game 6, and that's how I think it's going to go.
I worry about the Celtics in game 1 only because quick turnaround. The Heat are going to be more rested. You're coming out of a pretty tough series. I mean,
but they could be rusty. They could have a cold day having been sitting.
Yeah, they could also not though.
Well, duh. They could
also
possible.
Blow you off the floor in the first half.
Yeah. And
they got heat down there.
And Aaron Nesmith could score 50 points. He could. It's possible. It is on. It's far down the list, but it is possible.
If we rewind the show and ask you, to take your favorite player of the draft, you would have said Aaron Nesmith, and he's going to pop off. And you would have been wrong. So technically, you could be wrong about this too.
Did he not go 1 for 1 from the 3-point line last game, Christian?
That he did. And how impactful was that 3?
It gave that
there's levels to this.
It gave that extra little juice for Geno time.
I mean, hey, Luke Cornett played well.
Yeah. If we see any of those guys now, I actually wouldn't be shocked if we did see Nesmith's a guy who it's again championship teams when teams go on actual championship runs. There's a game where somebody who's been the 13th, 14th guy is called upon. With with the wing depth you will need in this series, I wouldn't be shocked if there's a game in a moment where Aaron Nesmith actually gets in there for meaningful minutes because of his defense. Now, do those minutes turn into, oh God, Aaron Nesmith got on the floor and he got burned defensively and shot 0-4 from 3? And that was his chance. Or does he have productive minutes? Does he have one of these Nate Robinson, I'm going to score, 16 in an elimination game? I don't know.
Aaron Nesmith, but mark my words right now. If Aaron Nesmith plays in the Eastern Conference Finals, other than in a blowout situation, something has gone terribly, terribly wrong, and you're probably losing in like 5 games.
Okay. That's your own little curse, Christian. We can mark that down. That you've.
Who are you, Danny Ainge, just hoarding this take and this pick until he finally does something for another team?
I have a belief that the guy will have an impactful stretch somewhere, somehow. It's not necessary.
Yep. Probably before the game when he's stretching out his hamstring. That's impactful.
An impactful stretch. True. So, anyways, we'll have plenty of time to dissect how that series gets going. On the other side, Dallas and Golden State. Like, you want to just pick Golden State, and I do think Golden State's going to win, but is this like, LeBron 2006, I'm just going to drag this team to a finals the way Luka is right now? Like, of course, in which is like, if I'm the Celtics, I don't want to play the Mavs in the final. I don't care how much we crap on that roster and its construction. Luka torches the Celtics. He's just got this like next level clutch gene against them. So I don't want to see Luka Doncic in the finals if I'm the Boston Celtics. Obviously, it's a long way away to worry about that, but are people just discounting them too easily here against Golden State because it's Golden State?
Yeah, a little bit. Look, I think the Mavs are in a similar situation to the Celtics. They've been one of the best teams in the second half of this year. I mean, since January 1, they've been top 3 in the league on defense. I mean, that's what you look at all these teams, they're good on defense and they have 3-point shooters. I mean, that's the way the league is now. If you can play defense and keep your team in it and then shoot threes, not only can you come back in big deficits from big deficits, but you can get ahead of people. You can stretch a lead pretty easily, as we saw last night. So I don't know. I think it's going 6 or 7. I just don't know if the Mavs have enough. The Warriors are just, it's like Kevin Durant is not there, but look at their team is just still stacked. It's just ridiculous. I mean, Jordan Poole came out of nowhere, obviously, and he's just ridiculous. And then Curry Thompson, I mean, the two of them. And Andrew Wiggins, I think, has really changed his kind of career trajectory since he went to Golden State.
Yep. Yeah, obviously, Golden State's the favorite. I don't know. It's just, it makes no sense how the Mavs have gotten here. Obviously, you said, they've been one of the better teams, but you look at that roster and you just can't guys like Finney Smith and Jalen Brunson, like, can they keep this up? I guess so far they have.
We're going to find out.
We will find out. That's either going to be a 7-game series or the Warriors are going to blow them off the floor in 4 games. Yeah. I don't feel like there's any middle ground.
I think the only way that series ends before 6 games is if the Warriors are winning. I don't see the Mavs taking that in 4 or 5. I could easily see the Warriors, like, the Mavs are coming off a high here in the series against Phoenix, took down the best team in the league through and through, wire to wire. They could easily come down to earth real quick.
Yeah.
Personally, you ask me, though, I say 6 or 7.
Yeah. Again, we shall see. That's the beauty. They got to play the games. So to transition here and then get to some other notes on the NHL and then a little bit of NFL things, we are going to go to our favorite segment, Hot and Not.
It's time for Hot.
Hot.
You want to talk about hot?
Hot.
Please stop doing that.
Doing what?
Continue. Go ahead.
And not.
God, is he a moron? Oh my God, he doesn't shut up.
It's so stupid.
Stupid decisions.
Dum-dums. The naughtiest knot of the year.
Oof. Suck fest. Suck sauce.
On the 360 Sports Show.
All right, Christian. Hot and not, up and down, good and bad, pluses and minuses. Deal them out. Let's start with the good things. I know you hate this. You want to just do all the bad, but it's not really called not and not. It's hot and not. So
yeah, but hot is not fun. I mean, you want not, not naughtier. I would say
that's for our premium subscribers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the OF page. I would say the playoffs for both the NHL and the NBA are my hot this week because I think they've been ridiculous. Both products. There's just game 7s all over the place. Pittsburgh and the Rangers was fantastic last night. The Stars and Flames last night in the NHL was fantastic. Celtics and Bucks. Obviously, the Mavs and Suns didn't really live up to the hype, but there's just game sevens anywhere, competitive series everywhere, and the NHL for me is top notch. Obviously, the Bruins as well, but yeah, I just go right to the playoffs because I've just been watching playoffs games for the last week and a half here, and it's just been insane all around.
I want to go. This is kind of like a little more of a niche one. Maybe it's just for me as a broadcaster. Kenny Albert, Game 7, Rangers, Penguins. The Rangers score. He makes the call, and then it's like 2 minutes of silence from him, and they just let the entire thing speak for itself, which you can do on television. You have that luxury. You know, if you're doing a radio call, you don't want to be silent for 2 minutes. You got to keep talking. Like I listened to Grandy and Max yesterday. Like, obviously they need to keep talking. It's the only thing they can do. Nobody else. It's radio. So many TV guys might just blubber on through all of that, and for that moment, the crowd is going nuts, and all the visuals of the players, and then he was quiet from the minute that goal got scored till they were like going through the line. And I just thought that was awesome. That is like just next level professionalism and really letting what was happening take center stage. And stuff like that doesn't get, I think, highlighted enough. A lot of people like to nitpick broadcasters and call them out and say they're stupid or they're biased and blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was just a little kind of a niche thing, but a really, really good thing because you love to just see that reaction afterwards and just feel the energy in that building was electric.
Yeah, I mean that game was fantastic in overtime, and I look. I think Kenny is he's got to be like top 2 or 3 in terms of national hockey broadcasters. I think he's up there now. I mean, he's in that top echelon now. That obviously Emmerich is retired and everybody, but he's one of the premier guys there.
All right, Christian, you're not or not. How many you got?
I was gonna do 2, but I don't know. This Rondo news that came out today, not ideal. Like pulled a gun on his family and
what? I didn't hear this.
Yeah, that's what the mother of his children said, and
oh boy,
so, yeah, that made the list. I mean, Rondo is notorious for being kind of like a nut, right? I mean, he's always been like in those conversations on his teams. Nothing outside like this though. So
well, he's been like an a-hole. Like he's stubborn, he's kind of arrogant, but like, hey, he was like 22 years old and asked to be the point guard of a team with 3 future Hall of Famers. Like you kind of needed that guy with that attitude. This is something completely different. That I don't think there'd been no indications of something like this. Like that's insane.
Yeah, so not ideal. And then my second, just real quick, Antonio Brown would like to retire a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I say to Antonio Brown, if I'm the Steelers, dude, F off. You can retire a member of the free agents class because you shot your way out of Pittsburgh. You said, I don't want to play, and I'm getting out of there. You cried your way out of town. Then you went to New England, and you had some
Oakland
stuff.
Oakland first.
Oakland. That's right, Oakland. And you were in a pool doing a YouTube video, got your way there, and went to New England in this perfect situation with your best friend, not friend, Tom Brady. And then you had off the field stuff again. So then you got released. Then you went to Tampa and met up with your best friend, not friend, Tom Brady. And you stripped down into your skivvies and you walked off the field against the New York Jets, I think.
Yep.
So, dude, what I would say to you, and you continuously just combat people on Twitter, like Ben Roethlisberger, you're going off on him. Like, why would anybody sign you to like a one day deal so you can get what you want?
Yeah. No shot. I saw
off. That's what I would say.
I can't take credit for it. It was someone on Twitter commented on his tweet. I don't know. I can't find it now because it's buried in just the bludgeoning that he's getting over that tweet. But somebody said, bro, Pittsburgh is the city of bridges, and you burned all of them.
Not only that, he sent out a follow-up tweet that said, just for clarification, just to retire, not to play. Yeah, no crap, dude. You're not playing anywhere. Moron. Moron.
So bad. My not, you reminded me of it. We were talking about broadcasters.
Yes.
Broadcasters. I was initially going to say the Phoenix Suns, just for that, robbing us of an enjoyable, close Game 7, because there's nothing that beats Game 7 in sports. I was going to say the Phoenix Suns. Just beyond reprehensible what they did. But I'm going to go, again, now we're going to do the not side of broadcasting. The ESPN NHL camera crew. Can we get it together? This is supposed to be the premier sports network of the world, and you got camera people that can't follow the puck, like or the puck is shot. Like I know it's hard. It's small. It's on a big surface.
They're terrible.
And it's like the puck gets moved down quickly up the ice, and they're always behind the play or zoomed in too far. Now listen, that happens in the college world all the time, because you know who's the camera people? Students. Part-time workers. This is someone who's like a professional camera person under professional production. But it's not even just the camera. Sometimes it's the cutting. Like they'll stay on like the ice level camera in the corner when the puck's up at the other, like at the blue line. Oh, that side of it, production, camera work, abysmal, borderline unwatchable.
Behind the net?
From a professional,
behind the net camera.
Yeah, from a professional product, borderline unwatchable. Which is
it's definitely
unacceptable.
watchable, but TNT does a much better job.
Yes.
The thing that bothers me sometimes, you're on the power play, and it's like I have to watch a power play behind the net, and sometimes it's cool, right? You get a quick angle, quick shot, maybe like 10 seconds, see where the puck is going, then maybe cut back to the real angle so you could see. Instead, it's behind the net, and then all I see is just hockey man butt in front of the camera. All you see is the goalie, and then half the time there's 6 guys in front of the net, so you can't see where the hell the puck is. It's just like, that's just one note that bothers the crap out of me. As a 5-on-4, you can see everything from right center ice, perfect, right above the ice. Instead, they go from behind, so I'm looking at the goalie's butt the entire time. It's like, what are we watching here?
Yeah. So
TNT is much better.
I mean, is this just a case of TNT obviously has had hockey for a while? And covered, or was it TBS that took the games previously in the playoffs along with
TBS? Yeah.
But they're the same, like under the same umbrella, like
exactly.
So maybe it's just because ESPN hasn't done hockey for so long, they have to train some camera people. Get on that. That's what you got to fix. Love the theme song. Work on the camera work.
Also, every time the Bruins played on ESPN, they got smoked, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Ray Ferraro. I think he was in between the benches there every time they got smoked. Like, get him out of there.
Yeah.
How's that bad luck?
All right. So that's hot and not. Always a lot of fun. Speaking of the Bruins, bye Bergie. Is this the end of Patrice Bergeron? Did we witness that yesterday? Bruins losing 7. I think that's pretty obvious. Everybody expected that to happen down in Carolina. Better effort, valiant effort. Not enough in the tank. Lots to tweak. But the big story for me is if this is the end of Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah, I mean, that's the storyline coming out of the thing. I mean, I think everybody knew as soon as you saw the 3 games in Carolina going into Game 7, the Bruins have no shot, which I think they did. But I think Bergeron is done. That's just my personal opinion. My inclination is that he is going to step away from hockey. And no, he's not going to go play for the Montreal Canadiens, Tony Amonte, dummy. So yeah, I think he's done. I think he's retiring as opposed to going to play somewhere else. I'd be shocked if he went anywhere else. But at the same time, if he ultimately wanted to do that to get one more shot, it would have to be like go to the Avs and play third line center, something like that. Unfortunately for the Bruins, it puts you in a tough spot. But I do think Bergeron is, just based on him talking Martian post game, their exit interviews today, it just has the feel, and it really has all year, that this was his last go around. So my inclination is that he will retire.
I agree. I think he's going to retire. Now, who knows? 6 months from now, does he pull a Tuukka Rask and come back out? Hey, the little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, Patrice, we'll give you like half the year off. Come in January and give us what you can. Because that guy, talk about, I mean, just a warrior. I mean, playing through series with punctured lungs and broken ribs and a busted face. Like, I mean, hockey players are tough in general, overall, anyways. Patrice is, like, also just kind of next level with things he's fought through to be on the ice. Like, there's a point where it's like, no, I think you should be in a hospital. Like, it's okay.
There's something every year with him.
Yeah, no one's gonna call you out, dude. Like, no, you're bleeding internally. No, I can play Game 6. Okay.
I just think it's ridiculous the amount of contact in an NBA game or a soccer match, right? And the amount of flopping, guys going down in agony. Bergeron gets a stick to the eye. There's blood pouring out of his face, and he's trying to get back on the ice, and he has to get kicked off the ice by the ref because he's bleeding too much.
Yeah.
It's just like hockey's a different animal when it comes to that.
Oh, I mean,
I mean, especially Bergeron.
I remember Gregory Campbell, dude's leg's broken, staying out there on the penalty
on one leg.
On one leg, blocked another shot too.
Oh yeah.
Imagine both legs are broken. Oh, he flops the arm. He got it. But yeah, no, Bergeron. I mean, if and when we find out that it's officially the end for him, which we both think it is, we can do a whole montage and honoring Patrice
Unless there's
Bergeron.
a way you get someone to play top line center and he can take a step back in terms of role, I just don't see that happening because you don't have anybody behind them. But say if you were to get Krejci back or a little birdie, David Krejci maybe coming back to play top center, or Sidney Crosby, someone like that, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, so this leads to the next question: what do the Bruins do? Because part of that calculus, like you're saying, for Bergeron is, hey, do I have a chance to win a ring? This current roster ain't gonna cut it.
No.
And I don't think they can. I don't think it's not even about like, oh, would they want to? Do they have a desire? Do they have the right like management to go out and make deals happen? I just don't think they have the flexibility to really do anything impactful at a high enough level to you know. I think
center position.
I think they're handcuffed though, as in terms of like if Bergeron retires, now you're just replacing his production somehow. If Bergeron stays,
you're not gonna replace his production though.
I meant like you're trying now. You at least have salary to, like, but you'd only be partially replacing his production. Is what I'm saying. But even if he stays, I don't know what they can go out and do. Like, are you gonna trade Pastrnak? No. Are you gonna trade Marchand? No. What? So then, what do you really? I don't know what they have to bargain with to really.
I mean, there's no real. I don't think anybody's gonna like. They're not going to get like JT Miller or something in a trade. I mean, look, they have to go internal a little bit. They have some guys, I guess, coming up through the system. They're just not top line guys. So they're going to have to fill that spot with Coyle and Studnicka maybe takes a role. Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see what they do down the center. I think on the wings, I think they're okay. I think they have some depth there. But that center position is in a rough spot. They didn't draft anybody behind Bergeron, and even if they did draft him, he'd probably suck anyway because they haven't drafted since like 2013 here.
Yeah.
So down the center, you're going to have to get somewhere, some depth somewhere. Where it comes from, I have no idea. But the Bruins are in a middler spot. They're going to be probably good enough to make the playoffs, not good enough to win the cup. You can't say they're going to suck or anything, or let's trade guys, because you have Pastrnak, you have McAvoy, Lindholm, you have this kind of young core that's still pretty good. They just don't have that first line talent. I mean, is it better then to say is it as hard as it is it better for the Bruins long term to get back to winning a cup if Bergeron does retire now and you can start this retooling? No, because you don't have anybody behind him.
Sure,
unless you make a trade.
Sure, but if you draft somebody, if you sign somebody young, if you try and cherry pick a prospect from somebody else that you think that you have, rated highly,
they're not jumping up line one in year one. I'll tell you that.
But that's what I'm saying. Now it's not about trying to win one for Bergie. It's about how do we build this team so that we can maximize the rest of Marchand's prime and Pastrnak and McAvoy, and not just be trying to like constantly swing for every single year and never really build anything. I mean, they haven't really built anything since 20 when? I mean, honestly, they haven't built at all. It's been like replacement parts here and there, some stick. Like Charlie Coyle was a great signing. He stuck. And has honestly not really gotten back to what you got out of him in 2019.
Imagine if you had Tyler Seguin right now.
That's what I'm saying. So wouldn't it be better
They
for
have
them
to do it through the draft?
To do it through the draft, and it's no longer a how do we win a cup this year, it's how do we win a cup 5 years from now with this team.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with Bergeron. I don't think they're building for the title. Obviously, if they can get one more crack, they kept doing that. But they don't have anything coming behind Bergeron. So Bergeron retiring has no inclination on the future, other than maybe some tie up in salary. But
it would give more guys more time, though. Instead of drafting somebody and now he sits.
But who's the guy that you want?
I don't know.
So that's what I'm saying to you. They don't have anybody to give time to. Studnicka is your highest prospect at the center position, and he stinks. I mean, he has not played well at the NHL level. And whether that maybe is a Cassidy can't get through these young guys anymore, I don't know. But you start at the top, and that's Don Sweeney. I think Don Sweeney is in a position where he needs to be done. The drafting has been so bad. And that 2015 draft, you drafted DeBrusk, Zaboral, and someone else who can't play, Shenison, who is not even here anymore. And you gave up Matt Barzal, who is a center, and I would say he's pretty good. It's just 15, 16, 17, 18. There's no draft picks coming here. That's the problem. I mean, the closest thing you have is Liesel, and he's a right winger, and he's not going to be that center position is in trouble just because Bergeron retires. I think you have to take a look at David Krejci. That's what I would do first, because he's a guy that was in your organization. He would definitely play here, and I think he plays at a decent level.
Does he want to come back? Does he want to?
I mean, that's the question. I think he probably.
You think he would have wanted to buy into this year, right? To play with like more of his guys.
Yeah, but he wanted to go home and play in front of the Czech before it was too late in front of his family. But does he come back for a year or two now that Bergeron retires? He wants that number one center spot. I don't know, but he's a guy that I would check in with just because he's been here.
Yeah. Colin, I flashed there, said must draft well equals Sweeney must go. Do you think that Sweeney and Cassidy make it to the draft? Are they going to be here? Will they be part of the 2022-2023 Boston Bruins, or will one or both of them be shown the door?
I haven't gotten a whiff of anything, to be honest with you. I have no idea. If you're asking me personally, I think Sweeney has just gotta go. I don't think he has not been a total fail. Because I mean, you look, they made the playoffs every year. They went to the Cup once, but I mean, he's just the guy that I would that's where you start. You have to fix the drafting. I mean, it's just been so bad for the last 6 years here that there's got to be another direction. And then typically with the GM goes the coach. So I like Cassidy. I would keep Cassidy. But a new GM comes in here, he's going to want to clean that out. So I don't think Cassidy is the issue. I think Don Sweeney is more of the issue. However, I will say this. In the playoffs with the Bruins, Cassidy is now lost in the first round, lost in the second round, lost in the Cup final, obviously, Game 7, second round, first round. So they've only been there once, and then it's pretty much first and second round that you're getting bounced. So sometimes you just need a new voice in the room. I mean, we see it in all sports.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just time. If I'm starting, if Bergeron retires or whatever, that's just an aside. It starts from the top, and I think Sweeney is it's just run its course here. I think he could be a good GM somewhere else. But the drafting here and what you have in Providence and what you've needed behind all of these older players and Bergeron, Chara, Krejci. Now, he hit on McAvoy, but we don't know anybody else at this stage. So the drafting has just been that. I'll tell you, that 15 draft, that's the one that comes back to haunt you.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's brutal.
So bad. And with the expectations of, oh my gosh, this could be great. This is it. This is if you're the Celtics, this is the Brooklyn Nets picks, right? This is what you're hoping for. You're going to have cornerstones of your franchise here. Nope.
You had picks. Jeez, they had 3 picks right in the middle of the round. And they drafted Jakob Zaboral.
Heck,
Zach
even if you missed on those picks,
and yeah.
Wouldn't you be happy to have Martin Jones?
But you had three chances to get one good player, and you got DeBrusque, who is decent and wants a trade.
Serviceable.
He wants to trade.
He can play NHL minutes. Yes, you can put him out there on the ice.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be here. So there's one. Zach Senyshyn, who is God knows where and not playing, and Jakub Zboril, who you just signed, who made some strides, but he's not a top end defenseman. He's probably a second, third pair at best, and he's coming off an ACL, who you just signed today. And then following that, immediately, Matt Barzal, Kyle Connor, Thomas Chabot, Svechnikov, Eriksson, Samsonov, Colin White, like Konechny. You just go right down Jacob Larson. You just go right down Bavillier. You just go right down the list. It is absolutely brutal that they took a guy in Zach Senyshyn and Jakub Zboril, two guys who are a second or third pairing on defense and probably a bottom three winger.
Yeah.
Brutal. That's the one that gets you every time.
No bueno. So we'll see how that goes. To round out the show here, we are going to, for a brief moment, open the doors and peer in to the ball locker and
you want to go over the wet fart that is the Patriots schedule?
And we're going to lift the Patriots out, and we're going to dangle them here for a moment. The door to the locker has not been closed, so let's dangle the Patriots here. And yes, let's quickly go over their schedule. We're not going to go game by game unless me and you, Christian, differ wildly over their record. I think the Patriots might only win 7 games this year.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to add.
I think, and
you know what reassures me that this is probably going to be the case? Listening to Joe Judge and Matt Patricia today speak to the media, they don't know what their roles are. One guy is a special teamer who's now working with the offense, who just kind of imploded the Giants offense. The other guy is coming from the Detroit Lions, who he absolutely ruined, and came back here, and he was a defensive coordinator who's now working with the offensive line. And they spoke, and they don't have roles. They don't know really what they're doing, but they're working on the offense. And you have a rookie second-year quarterback who is expected to take a leap.
Yes. It does not instill confidence. Now, I will allow if Mac Jones in this offense comes out and lights the world on fire, maybe you win 10, 11 games. But this is why I think they're going to have a really bad season, unfortunately. Last year, the schedule, the middle of the schedule gave them some relief. Right now, the Patriots go at Miami. I think that's a loss. At Pittsburgh, that's going to be a very difficult game and could be a loss. The Baltimore Ravens, and then at the Green Bay Packers. In all likelihood, you're staring at 1-3 or 0-4. And if you get off to another bad start, even if the schedule lightens up on you a bit, can the team dig out of that again? I mean, they needed to win like 8 games in a row for you to feel good. Like, wow, this team is like now like they stayed focused, mentally focused. But if you go down 0-4 again, like, is the whole team gonna like buy in and come to work every day and try real hard and take the licking from Bill? Like, maybe they just say, screw it and mail it in. Like,
from Bill, your O-line coach is Matt Patricia. You come in and take a licking from that guy?
True. So, yeah.
I mean,
and this is not, it's not going to be, this is, you've got a whole bunch of Patriots in here and blah, 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 Patriot way, all this and that. Like, it's very much a different team. They need to learn how to be, quote unquote, Patriots. How to be Patriots. And what, under Bill Belichick, that means. I just worry that they're going to have a bad start and it could snowball on them. So 7 to 10 wins max. And I don't think that is not going to be good enough in the AFC. Anything to add, Christian?
I have faith that the offense will be improved this year. And that is because I think Mac Jones is good enough to kind of make a general leap. Probably not as much if McDaniels was here. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I wanted McDaniels gone, and then I didn't know they were going to replace him with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. So that's some poo-poo if I've ever seen it. But here's what I'll say. The offense, I think, should be improved. Devontae Parker, number one. Number two, no fullback. They're going to change a few things. Whether they scheme that, I don't know, because their coaches suck. I'll just keep coming back to the coaches thing because that really bugs the crap out of me.
Colin says Matt Patricia should be on the O-line, not coaching them.
Yes, he is not. Well, actually, I don't even know if you want that. I think he should be with the Detroit Lions or something. But I have faith that the offense will make some type of jump. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough to. Do they win 11 games? I just don't see that.
I don't either. Colin also says when Belichick's own children don't know who is doing what, trouble is afoot. Pete and Gansett says it all depends on the O-line for Mac to be successful. Time to bring back Dante S. I don't think Dante's coming back. He is far too happy with retirement and just hanging out at Narragansett Town Beach.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
So that's it. That's our little thing on the Patriots. We dangled them there for a little bit, and now back to the ball locker they go.
With the Red Sox.
The who? Exactly. So that is going to do it for the show here today. Thank you, everybody who tuned in and listened to us live here on a Monday evening. We are live around 7:30 on Monday evenings. Games, barring any sort of game interruption we want to get in before a big playoff game or something like that, which unfortunately now would pretty much only be for the Boston Celtics. So that's going to do it. If you couldn't catch us live, you can catch us as a podcast on Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can always email the show if you are one of our podcast listeners, the360sportsshow@gmail.com. And I'm going to take a quick gander. And we have some new Twitch followers, according to Gmail, but no emails nor comments on any of our other platforms. So that is going to do it. Looks like we do have one last question. Pete and Gansett says buona notte. So, yes. Good night. Good luck. We'll talk to you guys next Monday.
Good morrow.